Welcome in to the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to. See, look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome in to a Monday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by our friends over at Go Chevrolet. Shout out to the crew at GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Appreciate everybody starting off this Monday here with us after the long holiday weekend.
Anything happened this weekend?
Rejuvenated.
Unplugged.
All good, man. I was telling Lloyd and the crew over here, it was the first time I have done this in the iPhone era in a long time, been able to, I had the legit, no service bar on Wednesday, Thursday, and a part of Friday. We were up at my sister's place, and my brother-in-law is up in Mississippi, and there was a Wi-Fi connection that you could have logged onto, and Kelly told me about it as we're, pulling off the property when my phone starts to, zzz. What the hell's going on? I'm like, well, I mean, I've been, literally checked out for the last 72 hours, and it was awesome. We'll talk all about
great weekend.
The past couple of weeks. Yeah, it was. We'll talk all about the past couple of days. Rankings come out after the college football weekend, in which we see LSU fall to Texas A&M. We're going to check in with Billy Lucci coming up here at 7:30 this morning. He deserves a victory lap for as much as we have crapped on these clowns for the last 10 months. For us, not us. I don't mean the LSU football team being us. I mean us, the LSU fans, go over there and get our teeth kicked in by Texas A&M. We are going to allow the Aggies to take a victory lap here this morning. Last week was a bit of therapy for Lucci and his staff over at Texags here on a Baton Rouge-based podcast. Now we will give him the opportunity to victory lap. Their players are still going into the portal, and they still got to blow up the coaching staff. So, they still got work to do, but on Saturday, it was, I thought, kind of what we imagined it was going to be. It was going to be a heavyweight fight. The thing that was most discouraging early on was A-Chain, right?
Oh.
Like the fact that he was going early was, to me, a clear sign that this was going to be a hell of a game. This is going to be a 4-quarter, get your mind right, be ready to play, because Devin A-Chain came to play tonight on a bum ankle. He ends up going.
Oh, he was hurt?
For 215 and a couple of scores on Saturday. Only a career night for the Aggie running back as LSU falls to Texas A&M. Now, they finished the season 9-3. All right, let's look at this thing in a vacuum real quick. In a vacuum, Saturday sucked for LSU, right? The way that they had navigated the month of November was very encouraging for this team and the future of what the program looked like. They just looked very competitive. The most impressive thing was that they always looked like they were prepared to play. On Saturday, they did not look as if they were best prepared to play, and Brian Kelly went into the postgame and said as much, right? He didn't come out and say, we prepared, we didn't do a good job preparing. He just said there's some things that we have to, with success, understand what comes along with that, and we have to develop those traits. So for Saturday's reaction, it was bad. They were pushed around on both sides of the ball. Look, we could talk about Jaden Daniels' performance. We could talk about some of the skill players' performance, and we'll get there. The most concerning part for me was the line of scrimmage, and specifically on the defensive side, of the line of scrimmage, because that is a group and a unit all season long that has not been shoved around since Florida State. You know, I mean, it's been a long time that you were wondering and curious, what's the deal with the defensive line? And on Saturday, when you looked up, hell, man, there was 3-4 yards of space before A-Chain was getting contact. I mean, forget line of scrimmage being able to, create some type of push, at that point of attack. I mean, LSU was getting shoved off the ball 3, 4, 5 yards before A-Chain was even getting hit. The tackling was underwhelming. I mean, they played bad. And, we can sit here and talk about, blocking and Jaden Daniels' ball security and catching the football and all of what would happen on Saturday. The analysis is, the description of it, the elevator pitch is they played like crap. They had a bad game and got beat by a good team that we all knew that if they came and put it together. The thing that I'd be most pissed about if I'm an A&M fan is like, yo, man, I mean, like, where the hell has this been? Why haven't you been playing all these kids, all these true freshmen? I mean, that class is super special, man. I mean, that class is, and some of the best players aren't even playing.
I wish Muhammad would have worn sleeves. Jesus.
I mean,
would love to see him not play.
I mean, hell, the quarterback's a player. You know what I mean? Like, they got guys all over the place, specifically in that 22 class that, you knew if they put it together, they're going to be tough. And the thing that this does for A&M is it does propel them into an off season of what might be. And I know that A&M is always wait till next year university, but when you watch them play on Saturday night, next year looks like they're going to be a tough out if all those guys come back, because there is a young, talented group that Jimbo's going to have to – he's either going to have to put a coaching staff around to continue to develop, and, he's going to have to probably play a little bit of defense here to the transfer portal early on. But if he can get those guys back on campus, there is reason to be positive in Aggie land. Man, that Yale stuff on Thursday night was about as bad as it's gotten. I mean, like, it was –
Coach.
I love Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer is one of my favorites.
Absolutely.
Just a treasure of knowledge. Hunt went into a little imitation of the Aggie Yell on Friday on Moscona's show. That was a little outside of the box personality for Hunt, but I thought he crushed it.
See,
like,
Hunt has
Lucci quote tweeted it and like flipped it the bird after the game, so you knew like it had crawled with them for all weekend.
I mean, you think we can play with the old guard flag?
We've got no problem. We've got no problem. I don't know if the suits over there. I mean, for as tight as they are,
Jesus.
On the Culotta show, I doubt that they would really.
Is that all 22 I'm seeing
over
there?
But you're welcome on the free promotion there.
Love a guy, Hunt.
But just you could see just how much this game meant to Texas A&M. And really, I don't mean to discredit it, and I'm not excusing it because LSU got beat, but it didn't look like it meant that much, right? Like, I mean, it looked like they were a little bit of a, kind of looking towards Atlanta or maybe thinking that they could pull into College Station and just kind of coast through it. And as Brian Kelly called out, I mean, the text messages that I was getting, the phone calls that I was getting after the game, some about Brian Kelly. I mean, I thought like one of them, I asked the guy back, I was like, this is a joke, right? I mean, like, you're not serious, are you? I mean, it's like, Kelly's exactly who we thought he was. And I was like, what? A championship level coach? I mean, like, pump the brakes. Okay, so that's the reaction in the microwave, right? Like, in the vacuum on Saturday night, that sucked. You had an opportunity to win your 10th game going into the championship week in Atlanta, carrying a little bit of momentum. You would have loved to have won that game. They came out, they laid an egg. They didn't play good. They had bad turnovers. Defensively, they played one of their worst games of the season. They played it at the wrong time. A-Chain was emotionally, physically, he was all fired up, even on a bum ankle, and he ends up going for a career night. That's what it took. LSU gets whooped. It sucks. Yeah? I mean, like, the breakdown of the game is that, really they kind of had opportunities. I thought after the fumble, the game just kind of got away from LSU. And, they had chances, but at the end, I thought Texas A&M was just more in it. They were more motivated. They wanted that game. I mean, that's a nice springboard into the offseason for them. And now, LSU's got an opportunity to get back out onto the field. I mean, one thing that is beautiful about sports is that it always kind of gives you an opportunity to go redeem yourself if Texas A&M doesn't have that opportunity. Some schools don't have that opportunity. LSU's still in a chance where you can go make things right. And I will tell you, my first reaction on Saturday when they lost that game, I mean, it was just a quiet Saturday night. Kelly and I were just kind of laying around watching the game. I looked at Kelly and I said, they're going to beat Georgia. Because now the pressure's off. They're going in there and they're playing with almost a sense of nothing to lose, house money, however you want to put it, going against a team in Georgia that they're going to the championship. Georgia's in the same exact position that they were in 365 days ago, where they had gone through the regular season undefeated. They had stamped their ticket to Atlanta. They were already a shoo-in to not only be in the college football playoff, but to be the 1 seed in the playoff going into the SEC tournament, going into the SEC championship. Alabama goes to Atlanta and beats them there. Still get into the playoff, still take care of business, still win the national championship. That's exactly where Georgia sits. Now, one thing may happen this week that LSU may have to play against is that Georgia, they might lose their top spot on Tuesday night. I don't know if the committee is going to look at Michigan and say that they've done enough to at least take that top spot away, or at least to steal some number one place, some first place votes. I think Tuesday night's selection committee show is going to be about as good as it has been, and not for 1 through 4, more for 5, 6, and 7. Right? When you look at Ohio State, how are they going to judge who Ohio State is? And then what are they going to do with Alabama? Right?
Hunter Hall, don't call until Wednesday.
I mean,
or everybody called today.
The committee loves Alabama, right? Like, I think that's been proven that we know that. How are they going? What's going to happen? I mean, we know 1 through 4, right? Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and who am I leaving out?
That's what I was going to ask you. Why you were so certain Clemson lost?
No. TCU won.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Ohio State. Do you keep them at 4?
I would have Ohio State ahead of Alabama
because they got throttled. Clemson loses to South Carolina. Like that. It's as much as it might pain us to say it. Alabama's going to be around 4. They're going to be what? 5, 6. Keep looking for USC.
Look, USC was impressive Saturday night. I thought that was as impressive as they've been. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that the show is going to be as appealing as it really has ever been. To me, I think that on Tuesday night there's really kind of a reason. There's a reason to watch.
Well, this is what they wanted to build, right?
Well, I think the top 4 is set for Tuesday night. Which is Georgia, Michigan 1 and 2, TCU 3, and I think USC
4
will be 4.
Me too.
Right. So I think that the debate outside of the top 4 is really there's not a lot of debate. Right. I think the debate comes in on 5, 6, and even 7. Because now Tennessee has gotten back to the table as a 2-loss team with an argument, right? I mean, if Alabama's in the discussion as a 2-loss team, then Tennessee has a pretty sturdy leg to stand on. Now, I know that the committee could come out and say, look, Hendon Hooker's hurt.
Right.
And he's been their premier player, and these are the reasons why we're going with Bryce Young. And everybody would say, okay, I get it.
And Nick
right?
Saban.
Understandably, right? So I think that the debate's going to be really kind of between Ohio State and Alabama. Who's 5, who's 6? I think right now Ohio State would be 5. But I think Ryan Day is probably hoping that they don't get in, because if there's a possibility that they play Michigan again within the next month and they get beat again by Michigan, they may fire him. Coach, have you seen the temperature around Ryan Day after losing 2 in a row to Michigan with a better roster?
You have to have somebody in place then.
Urban Meyer was with Fox on the field calling the game.
Where are his hands?
Right? Who cares? Hey, at Ohio State,
pocket,
they could give a damn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he could be
coach.
knuckles deep in a cheerleader. As long as they're undefeated, they're in. You know what I mean?
Like, would be
Ohio. You know?
Oh my.
Yeah. Ho. Come on back, Herb.
Because, I mean, that's at the crux of it. When you look at Ohio State, Michigan, that's what the game is, right? Like, that's what their season is. It's Ohio State, Michigan. They hang their hat on that game. LSU, they don't have that. Like, you've talked about it a lot with the LSU, Alabama, right? Does that feel the same way? If you think so, look at Ohio State, Michigan. That's their season. And you saw it happen to LSU with Texas A&M. It's the same thing where they hung their hat on, if we can beat LSU, at least we have something to look back on this season and say, all right, we can build on this. And if you're LSU, that's the one thing you couldn't have happen. And it felt like the totality of every game. After you beat Alabama, you turned into Alabama a little bit, where you took every team's best punch. And at the end of the day, LSU wasn't ready for that. They're not that good. And every team came out swinging, and A&M did it.
So
finally, LSU was on a standing 8 count, and they just finished us off.
So let me get back to we'll get back to the national scene here in a minute, and we'll talk to Billy Lucci here in about 10 minutes, and just more of a recap from Saturday and get more of a boots on the ground from College Station of what happens now here as the offseason has begun in College Station. But for LSU, you're 9-3, you're SEC Western Division champs. And in a couple of games this season, you would have liked to have had some performances back, right? I'd like to see them play Tennessee again. I'd like to just see that game. Do I believe that they could beat Tennessee with a healthy Hendon Hooker, in a neutral field, or maybe even a game that kicks off at 6 o'clock in Tiger Stadium? I'm not making excuses. I don't think that they can flip it around to win the game, but I think it's a lot closer than it was, right? And I would like to see them compete in that game. Saturday night's performance, obviously, you don't want to end the run and the momentum that you had built and kind of carried through the regular season on a note like that. But good for you. You had an opportunity to turn around and play one more of these games where you can get it right. You can change some of the problems that have plagued you, which I think are very correctable. Like Kelly said, I mean, a lot of the issues were kind of developed in preparation. I expect that they will be fully focused come this week of practice, and looking forward to Georgia come Saturday night. And I think you'll see a different performance. I really do think that the way that the game's set up, I know that I said I told Kelly kind of in the moment when it happened on Saturday, they're going to beat Georgia. I feel like they're going to really play this game close, and I think they'll have an opportunity to win it at the end. I don't, as we've talked about over the last couple of weeks leading up to this game after we knew it was going to happen, I don't think by any means Georgia is unbeatable, right? I think that they're going to be tough, and it's going to be a hell of a task to go into Atlanta in that environment where it'll be a sea of red and black. I mean, LSU will have a pocket of purple and gold in some corner of the Mercedes-Benz Dome, but I mean, other than that, it's going to be a Georgia home game with the league title on the line. It's going to be a hell of a task, but I think I think LSU is going to be fully focused this week. I think they're going to have a great week of preparation. I think they're going to have a plan in place for Stetson Bennett and that Georgia offense. And, I think Daniels will be more of, the guy that we saw the positive stuff from this season rather than the down points we want to cherry pick and look at from Arkansas and obviously the way that he closed the season out against Texas A&M. So in a vacuum on Saturday night again, look, that was a bad performance. You hate to lose on that. You hate to lose that way in a final regular season game. They were shoved around. Like I said, I thought that was the most discouraging part of watching that game was the way that the defensive line was just kind of on roller skates. I mean, they were just really they were kind of being steered by a really underwhelming Texas A&M offensive line and a hurt running back to go for a career nut. Not difficult to find motivation for those guys this week. B.J. Ojolari, Mekhi Wingo, Ali Gay, Jacoby, and all those guys up front. I mean, there's a lot of locker room material. There's a lot of coaching material that you can put in their face and feel like you'll get the best of them come Saturday because they're better than that. You know what I mean? Like we've watched that group play now for 11, 12 straight weeks. Right? I mean, that was kind of an outlying game. That didn't look like the rule. That looked like the exception, right? I mean, that looked as if something just wasn't right. I think they can get that stuff right. Now for the overall stuff. I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm sure you were reading message boards. I'm sure you were talking internally in your text groups and talking to your buddies and talking to your people and family, and people were talking about the game. And some of the reaction that I saw and some of the reaction that I got text about, like the one that really stood out was a buddy of mine that, I mean, again, and he rarely will ever compliment the program. It's always, it's always catastrophe syndrome. It's always about, what's plaguing the program rather than what's complimenting it. And I mean, as soon as the gun went final, as soon as the clock hit 0-0 on the clock, I mean, the text message came through. Kelly's exactly who we thought he was. And I mean, like, I was like typing that. I'm like, before I said, I'm like, I'm not even, I'm staying off the grid for the weekend. I'm just not even like getting into this. I was like, I'm putting this stuff down. But come on. I mean, like, Kelly is who we thought he was. You know who I thought Brian Kelly was? I thought that Brian Kelly was a guy with a bad personality that was difficult to talk to, that was stuck in his ways, and that was going to berate and scream in the face of his players and trying to get the best of him. Everything that I thought about Brian Kelly coming into this season, I was completely wrong about. Completely off about. I've been to all but 2 of his Monday press conferences, a lot of the media and the build-up to the season. The thing that struck me most about Brian Kelly was his emphasis on how he communicated, how clear his communication tactics, or not tactics, just the way that he communicated was taken. The fact that he had a sense of humor. Now, it's easy to $100 million, 10-year contract. I get all of that stuff that's built into the personality and how that can shift you. But either way, that's who I thought he was when he was coming down here from South Bend. I've also had a chance, just like all of you, to watch his team now regularly for the past, college football season. And are we really going to debate whether or not his team is not disciplined and well prepared each week? And that to win in the SEC on the road is a very difficult task to do, even against the bottom feeders. I mean, nobody around here, at least last week, was saying, hey, don't be fooled by Texas A&M's record. You still got to get off the bus, and you better be ready to play, because if you're not, they could beat you. Right? And I think people knew that over at the LSU facility. It wasn't as if they just kind of like, hey, fellas, see you Saturday. They put the work in. They watched the film. It was a bad week of prep. Once they got to Saturday at Kyle Field, they didn't execute like they had been all season. And you had a team on the other sideline that
starving.
In weeks and months of not having anything to play for, there was finally something on the plate that looked delicious. Everybody was ready to eat. And everybody on Saturday night, it was all the name brands. It was all Shamar Stewart was making plays. Walter Nolan was making plays. Muhammad was making plays. It was all these guys that if you're looking around, you're like, where the hell these guys been all season? I heard about them in recruiting, but here they are. Right? And LSU's kind of like, still trying to kind of figure out offensive line. One sequence, I look out there and I see Miles Frazier. The next I see Garrett Dellinger. Look again, Miles Frazier's back. I mean, they're still just kind of like trying to figure out. Josh Williams is stressed out. He's not playing. They still had issues that they were just trying to kind of like navigate through. So again, I'm not excusing Saturday. Saturday sucked. They weren't prepared. They got outplayed. But all in all, in the season, if you'd have told anybody I know in this room, especially me, and if you're listening out there, if you're being really honest with yourself, and you would have said in the offseason, if I was doing this show at SEC Media Day like we did back in Atlanta in July, and when I would have said, hey, Tigers are going to go 9-3 in the regular season and go to the SEC championship and play Georgia, 100% of us would have all signed up. Right? Nobody would have been like, he kind of is who I thought he was then. Like, what? He got 38 scholarship players 10 months ago. He had a wide receiver playing quarterback in the bowl game he watched before this season. Let's all just kind of take a step back. And I know that this is probably the loud minority and not the overall majority of the fan base out there that is saying that Kelly ain't the guy. There's too much that's been accomplished and done here in year one that would make anybody with a lot of just common sense say, wow, LSU, they nailed that hire. Right? So remember, every Monday morning, our first hour is brought to you by Bayou Carlin Oyster Company. What the Shuck? What the Shuck is obviously the performance of LSU on Saturday night. We'll react here to it a little bit, but
going to nominate maybe is Dre Jenkins. Is that a touchdown? Do we know what a touchdown is?
If that's not a touchdown, what is a touchdown? He
just
catches the ball in his gut. He got 1 foot in bounds. He has 2 steps after that, and then comes down and drops the ball. What?
He could have given it to a kid in the stands.
What is he supposed to do with that? That was some Calvin Johnson stuff.
That was the Dez Bryant.
That was just like, if that's not a catch,
what are we looking at?
I don't even know.
And I'm not trying to play woe is me and it's the officials or all that. I think, personally, LSU was tapped. Like, it's so hard to continue to play every game being for your life. And then you run into a team that we ain't got shit to play for, but now we do. And like you said, all of the guys that needed to show up showed up. LSU just looked tired. Like, it's been an exhausting year. And call me a homer, call me whatever. Brian Kelly can only emphasize that message so many times before it rings. I don't want to say rings hollow, but before the guys can't get off the mat. Like, coach, what? And you say I'm with you on the Georgia thing. I think it'll be closer than the 17.5 it is right now. But the one disparaging thing is Jaden Daniels is cut up.
Yeah,
like, he's hurt.
Yeah, and he seems a little mentally shook right now. Again, he kind of seems like it's fast for him, and Georgia is going to be electric on that carpet. Like, they are going to be flying out there. Football God, who's responsible for a bad week of prep? Well, Brian Kelly said that. He was accountable for that. He's not running from that. And it's not the Ogeron, it's on me every Saturday night. It's well thought out, detailed remarks on why they missed, why they felt like they were off. And I think that this doesn't the way that I read the post-game press conference and watching it and listening to the comments was that he wasn't really surprised by it. There was probably at times last week during preparation where he was probably telling his guys, like, we're off. we better catch a break on Saturday night, or we might get run out. And, coaches can feel that. Players can feel that. Guys can feel that. If you're not locked in and you're not preparing, especially in a week of an SEC game, it doesn't matter if it's a 4-win team or it's Bama in Tuscaloosa. It doesn't matter. That's what we've talked about with the television contract. What this is about to kind of kick up. Every week, you're going to be in a dogfight where the basement can beat the ceiling. Right? Perfect example. The final regular season week of 2022, the last place team in the SEC West just beat the first place team in the SEC West, and it didn't look like a fluke. Right? That was no accident. They outplayed them. They out-schemed them. They out-coached them. I mean, all of the things that you would look at and say, hey, man, better team won tonight. That's just how it was. But, I mean, all in all, LSU, where they are, I mean, they're going to Atlanta. I mean, some of you are gearing up to take family trips, guy trips, people, college trips, old buddy trips to the SEC title game to watch LSU play in year one of Brian Kelly. Like, look, I know we all want really good football and we want it to be competitive every Saturday night, but let's pump the brakes on really kind of going in on the fallout of Saturday. I mean, Saturday that sucked. You know what I mean? Like but that's not what the program is. The program is this week. The program is week 1. You're going to Atlanta with a chance to win the SEC title. Gear up. We're going to talk to Billy Lucci about it next. Don't forget about our friends over at Bayou Carlin Oyster Company. If you are heading to Atlanta and you want to bring a little touch of Louisiana with you over to the Georgians over there outside of the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, check out BayouCarlinOysterCo.com and check out their online orders. If you use the promo code Jordy, you'll save yourself 20%. Bayou Carlin Oyster Company is online. They're down in Acadiana. They do the grilling. They do the shucking. You do the grilling over at Bayou Carlin Oyster Company. You always think I'm going to slip there.
I do. One day I hope it happens.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Not for you.
Keep down.
You're a pro.
We will go to Billy Lucci next here.
Upsets happen. I just saw one.
Right, that's right. We'll go in with Billy Lucci next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. Football god, Jordy sticking to his guns defending Kelly. Got to give him that. But get used to these good, not great seasons. That's Kelly's ceiling. We'll see, man. We'll see. Got to be impressed in year one, though, what he's done with a down roster. Speaking of rosters, that roster for Texas A&M, at least the 2022 class, was showing off on Saturday night versus LSU. A lot of youngsters on display. Billy Lucci was here last week. And we have we have not been we have taken advantage of Texas A&M's suffering this season here on the Jordy Culotta Show. But Lucci is a great friend of ours and is always kind with us. So we got to give him a chance here to victory lap a little bit on a Monday morning and catch real quick back up with him before they head into the offseason. Billy, good morning. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, and I caught that little ending there before they head into the off season, so that that part does suck. I'm not gonna lie. No bowl game, no SEC championship yet. That's yet to happen here, but no.
So Billy, how
if you're gonna kill us, we're taking you with you.
How important was Saturday though for Texas A&M?
It has the potential to be incredibly important. You've got to see A&M build on that. There's going to be a lot of important conversations this week, I think, between Jimbo and probably some prospective OC candidates. That I think is there's a couple steps here that have to happen. I thought there were three, and I thought one of them I would have said in the second half of the season was to see Connor Wigman play and get people excited. Not only fans, but people in the building too, get them really fired up about the future of that position. And the players I talked to yesterday, and throughout the fall, they had already felt that way. But to see him go out and do it on the field, not just against LSU, he did it against Ole Miss as well. I think the way that game went was the way I'd hoped to see the second half of the season go. For as bad as this team's been this year, and I'm not saying they would have been good without the injuries because we saw App State, we saw Mississippi State. They never really looked great at all against Miami or Arkansas. But injuries really ripped this team of making any second half improvement. Mm-hmm. Second half of the season was just brutal on that front. Against LSU, I think I said to you guys last week, it was the healthiest that A&M had probably been since – say Alabama prior to the bye. What you saw was a healthy team, but way more than that, you saw a team that went out. And I saw somebody say it. They said they played like they couldn't lose. Mm-hmm. They didn't play like they didn't want to lose, like they wanted to win. They played like they had to win. And for whatever reason, this program has not had that the last 2 years. They had it in 2020, where they really reminded me a lot of this LSU team. And they had it then. This LSU, this was the first time, in a while I'd seen them not. LSU, see, I just didn't think – I thought the Tigers were beatable Saturday night, but I thought if A&M were to win, it would be a sloppy, ugly, 17-13, kind of like the Arkansas game. for them to come out and play a clean game like that, an inspired game, win kind of in the fashion they did, Jimbo's got those conversations now. Now it's the OC decision, and now it's the other one is to talk with these players that they need. Look, with 30 recruits, and you've seen some guys enter the portal here in the last couple of days, none of those guys have played. They were all – that's going to happen everywhere in the country. It's going to get a spotlight on A&M because, number one class.
Sure.
They're also going to lose a couple guys here, eventually that, and I'm not saying anybody specific yet, that they're going to want to keep. That's going to happen everywhere as well. The key part of this thing is just to keep the vast majority of this class intact because it is really good.
How much staff?
Go ahead.
How much staff turnover do you expect?
I don't think there would be much, if any, on defense, barring a guy opting to leave. But a couple of those guys are so well taken care of, it's difficult to see them leaving. But, you do this enough, as you and I have, attrition on the whole side of the ball sometimes will happen for somebody. It's just hard to just carry over year to year. But really where you're going to see most of it, Jordy, is on offense.
Yeah.
Man, I think James Coley is very safe. I think that he's been a big part of whatever improvement they've shown, and particularly when they moved him to wide receivers coach, that position has really quietly, in a bad offense, had a good year. You've seen the evolution of Moose Muhammad, minus the Auburn game, but what he did Saturday night, he's had some really good games down the stretch here since Aniyah Smith has been hurt. And Evan Stewart, I think he had about 650 yards as a true freshman, targeted 90-something times. So a really good freshman season for him. Noah Thomas has begun to emerge. So Coley, outside of that, though, it'll be interesting to see because if you hire a new OC, that's at least one piece of turnover. And it's hard to imagine an offensive coordinator with an offense that struggled that much coming in and not being able to have any of his own people. So I think you'll see multiple staff changes on that side of the ball without question.
You answered this last week when we asked you, and you were pretty pointed in your response when I asked you if they would move on Jimbo. You fired right back no. What happens next year? What's the expectation for him on next season?
Well, I think the expectation, first and foremost, is to make the necessary changes this offseason. And whether that's staff, he needs to take a look at the recruiting process because, remember, they lost a guy in Marshall Malco who was outstanding at Georgia, who was outstanding at A&M, is doing a great job at Oregon. They've got to figure out why they took a step back in recruiting this year, and you can't just go, well, I mean, God, we went 5-7. It was a rough year. That's why, but it wasn't just because of that. They were very slow out of the blocks, coming out of the season, and it has also nothing to do with, NIL. Everybody said $30 million. So all these other schools started paying, and it's not that either. You did not recruit on the same level. They need to look at that. But for him I think the expectation, Jordy, is night and day improvement. And I'm not talking about get back to 8-4. I mean, I don't think there's a specific record, but Texas A&M to look like they're back on a path towards contending to be one of the top teams in the SEC, in the SEC West, in the country. And we saw that, and that was part of what your first question. The hope here is, that thing that they did Saturday night is not sustainable yet. There's a reason why there's 12 games and A&M's look like that for one full game and maybe a half here or there the entire season. That's not, because it's not sustainable in their current model of kind of how the operation's going right now. But what you saw was Connor Wig. LSU is a damn good football team, okay? I firmly believe that. I think Brian Kelly's going to build something really impressive there. They're a damn good football team, but they're not. I mean, you guys have seen what elite SEC teams look like. I've seen it now for 11 years. that's not it. That's a damn good football team. And they did what A&M should have done this year if A&M would have been where everybody thought the Aggies were, which is they went out and they handled business and they beat a vulnerable Bama team and they survived a loss here or there. And they were the best team in the SEC West. They point blank were. It's really impressive. But they weren't elite. But they have some elite players at LSU, as you guys always do. But you watch that game the other night, and A&M, when they were on and didn't look confused and didn't look like they were frustrated, didn't let a momentum swing change an entire football game. You know, once LSU kind of gained momentum there early in the third quarter, they didn't let that swing define the game and go on to lose, 38-21 or something like they did to Florida. But it was Connor Wigman. It was Moose. It was Evan Stewart. It was obviously A-Chain, and I don't think he'll come back. But if I'm A&M, I try to pay him. If you're the collective, I pay him as much as humanly possible.
No doubt.
But young O-line, Walter Nolan on defense, Shamar Stewart. I saw Malik Silla out there more than usual. Bryce Anderson. I mean, you had so many young guys out there not just making plays. Donovan Green with a touchdown, not just making plays, but outperforming the best team in the SEC West this year. And so when they were on, that's kind of the hope in the future. But if you're Jimbo, our man T-Bob texted me this morning. He said he was asking what the pulse was and said, hope is a dangerous thing. I said, trust me, I know.
Right.
But,
right.
But at the same time, that's what I think a lot of people close to this program needed to see. And I think it's what a lot of the young players needed to have going into the offseason. I've talked to Wigman a lot. I talked to Bryce Anderson yesterday. And that was the starting off point. To where that goes, I don't know. There's certainly going to be more pressure on Jimbo next year. I would say there's real pressure on him for the first time next year. Outside of, everybody wanted to make the contract a big deal, and that wasn't pressure for a head coach. They all want to perform, and they all are competitive. The pressure starts now for Jimbo. Yeah. And by now, I mean today. By now, I mean this offseason. The pressure to make moves, not the demand. People don't understand A&M, I don't think, where they think, man, he's being forced to make moves and make as many changes. They're not going to force him, and I know that for a fact. I mean, I've talked to enough people. They're not forcing him. But if he doesn't, if he sits pat and acts like, hey, this is okay now, we're all good. We had a great game. I told you so. If he does that, he really, really amplifies the pressure on himself moving into next year. I don't expect him to do it, Jordy. That's why I think the next couple weeks should be pretty interesting for the Aggies, because you can make a particular move or two combined with what we saw in that game. And I'm not talking about just because of one game. I'm talking about how so many of those individuals performed and the fact that this team never quit on them this year. You could get people pretty excited again pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Billy Lucci from TexAgs.com. Last one, I'll get you out of here. Final four. What do you expect? How do you think this thing shakes out?
Man, I think you're going to be. I know everybody's thinking that Bama gets into it. I think TCU wins a high-scoring game against K-State and gets in. But my God, if they don't, how interesting do things get? And I think Oregon. I think Oregon's pretty bad. I think that you're going to see not chalk at this point, but I think Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC. Yeah. And I think that's how it's going to go. And I really would love to see Kansas State beat TCU, and I'd love to see SC lose, just to see the complete and total meltdown when Bama, or perhaps even, I don't know how, but certainly there's a case to be made for Tennessee's resume versus Bama's. Or do you go the NCAA tournament thing and say, well, they don't have Hendon Hooker, which I totally disagree with.
I do too.
That model. You do too. Yeah.
Especially in football.
Exactly. Especially in football, because it's so hard.
Right.
to build that body of work, and there isn't a month of kind of meaningless games. So
I will listen. I will listen to a point guard or a leading scorer in basketball for a tournament, but in football, even a guy like Hooker for a team like Tennessee, you can't penalize him for his injury.
Agreed. Well, I hope Jaden Daniels is healthy. I want to see that. I want to see that LSU team. I want to see how they bounce back because they've shown a lot of heart and toughness this year. They've actually, outside of the crap I've had to listen to out of Baton Rouge, which you guys would definitely be listening to at a College Station if the roles were reversed. But outside of that,
no doubt.
Outside of that, they've been fun to watch. And look, dude, you know how it is. I'm happy for you guys getting to go to Atlanta and experience that. And hell, college football this year, anything can happen. They're going to need him healthy, obviously, and mobile, but anything can happen.
Great to hear from you again, my friend. Let's do this again throughout the off season, and I'll see you in Atlanta for SEC Media Days or Nashville.
All right, buddy.
Nashville. All right, buddy.
Nashville. God, yeah, you're right.
That's crazy.
How long did they let you keep Reveille back there? I just heard her or him.
This is Griffin. He's a golden retriever, like a real man's dog, not a collie. Although Reveille, I got a picture with Reveille this year, and she kind of I got a good picture. Me and Coach Cheryl did.
Oh,
so I need to post that up and take it. That way it'll set the Twitter people off for a few minutes.
What a legend.
Yeah, stop posting LSU. Your Twitter is just disgusting right now.
Well, hell, I know y'all seen it all year. I've taken an absolute beating on there, which is great. It's just, they're still talking about it. So. But yeah, no, LSU, we're going to go back to the Longhorns this week. I wasn't expecting the LSU thing, so I had to have like a couple of days.
A little break.
Like Jordy said,
I mean, you got to give Texas a little bit of a break, man.
No, I can't stand those people.
Luch, it's great to hear from you, buddy. Merry Christmas.
All right, guys.
All right, man.
See y'all.
See you.
Yeah,
there's Billy Lucci checking in. The carpool queen is here.
Cool.
Good to see you.
Oh, hey.
How was Cali?
It was so good. It was great to be with my family. Really, really enjoyed the holiday.
Love that, Katie.
Yeah.
What the Shuck? Brought to you every Monday morning by Bayou Carlin Oyster Company. Remember to use the promo code Jordy online to save 20% over at our friends at Bayou Carlin Oyster Company. BayouCarlinOysterCo.com is where you could is where you can find them. Rob Boudreaux. Don't ever have that guy on again. Brian Burgess. Is he still on? I have the show muted. No, you don't, Brian, because you just asked as soon as he hung up. And there's no way you could have timed that perfect if you had it muted. So the 4 times you told us that you weren't listening to the interview, nobody really cares, bro.
I thought he had a meeting.
You know what I mean? Like, just keep the volume down if you want to listen. You don't have to tell us that you're muted and checking out, man, because you obviously weren't.
People don't love Billy.
As soon as he hung up.
Oh, Billy's awesome.
I don't know. I guess he talks a lot.
Well, he's got a lot to say.
He does have a lot to say.
Appreciate the state of the program, Jordy.
It was that. It was a nice A&M update. Mein Kampf for A&M. Great. Cool. Whatever.
Right,
we have to talk to him. He deserves his chance. We
does.
shit on him
We
for
have been
an hour.
dumping
We really
on the
did.
guy for 6 months, man.
No.
I mean, give him a 12-minute victory lap, for God's sakes.
He didn't know which way was up.
Like a breakthrough in therapy
That was
for
sad
that
last
guy.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a therapy session for him.
It was a breakthrough this morning. Last week, I mean, we thought we were going to lose the guy.
I know.
Didn't know if he was going to
calling Relief Med to see if they delivered to College Station. Can we get an express package
Just ask
to
Alex
texags.com?
Nerds.
Katie, you got to be happy with the way that everything played out with the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, you know.
But even though you told us that you were bailing for Mississippi State, you sure were active
What do you mean active?
on social
I
media.
sent y'all a picture of
and
Jackie
text message.
Cheryl wearing a hat that said piss on him. I think that was all I
Was
did.
that Jackie
right?
Cheryl?
Yes.
Love Jackie Cheryl. One of the
I mean,
best cheers.
how can I not be happy, though? But it turned out exactly like I said it would always going to turn out. Ole Miss ended the season being mediocre, just like Mississippi State. We now have the same. What am I trying to say? 8-4. We're all 8-4. Ended the season like that. I mean, it's ridiculous, right?
It is.
It's this exactly
I mean,
the same.
a lot more for you than it is for us.
Does it just feel like another waste of a year?
It's just mediocrity. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand when people are going to stop putting Ole Miss on top at the beginning of the season.
Oh Lord!
I mean, it's just true, is it not? Did you watch the game?
I watched them keep their coach.
Okay. Yeah, what the hell with that?
With the
Jimmy
shove.
Sexton.
What was that, y'all?
Jimmy Sexton. What
I
do you
mean,
mean?
we were
Jimmy
positive.
Sexton was eaten for the last couple of weeks.
Is there
Were we
any-
not positive he was going to Auburn?
Not
Were
me.
we not pretty
I kind of
sure?
was.
I
I kind
you
of
were.
was. I was.
You
I was.
were.
I can't bail
I
now.
was too.
I was.
I was too.
I was
I
not.
thought for
You
sure
were not.
that the Friday after the Egg Bowl, but I guess that we have to start to learn in these coaching openings.
Start to learn.
The loudest message is always the one that they're duping you with.
But did he
Especially
actually
with-
sign yet? Did he do it yesterday?
He signed it on. I believe he signed it Friday morning with Ole Miss.
No, it was still going on. They were still questioning it yesterday at some point.
On
He
Lane?
had not signed yet. Yes, so he either signed yesterday or this morning.
If Lane
he
takes the
didn't.
Auburn job now, I mean,
No,
like,
I don't think he is. I
good
think he just sat on it
Lord.
for a while. I mean,
maybe. I don't know if the signature has hit the dotted line yet, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, if he if he goes to Auburn
That
now,
would be full lane.
that'd be incredible.
I wouldn't even be mad.
No.
If
So
he
now it
puts
seems like it's going to be Hugh Freeze.
That's what I've
Is
heard.
it?
At Auburn?
Is it
saw.
though?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, at
Who
this
the
point,
hell
I have no
knows?
idea, but it seems like he's the trending name
That's so
at
bizarre.
Auburn. Couple of vacancies filled over the weekend. Matt Rule
That's a
hired in
biggie.
Nebraska. That's a hell of a hire,
That's a
right?
big one.
I mean, Nebraska and Mickey Joseph, shout out to Mick, shut out Iowa. There was discussions of Iowa being in the Final Four before that game. Nebraska goes in, shuts them out. They announce after the game that Matt Rule is going to hire. Now, Matt Rule has played architect and contractor at a couple of stops, including places like Temple and Baylor, which were looked at as graveyards in college football. And he not only revitalized and brought to life a Temple program, but he took over the Baylor job at a time when I can't think of when a program was more off of the radar or more of, just buried than the time that I mean, I guess it would be Penn State when Bill O'Brien took over after Joe Paterno. Maybe. I mean, that was
I was going to let you choose your own adventure on that path of how you're going to.
I mean, I'm
dance
trying to.
around Penn
I'm not talking about the stuff that was
Right.
happening at Penn State. I'm talking about the
Taking over a
state
job
of the
that's
job
dead.
when you
Yes.
take it. I mean, that was as bad of a position, bad of a job that you could have imagined when Paterno was fired at Penn State, just because of all of the stuff outside of the football. The football wasn't even the issue, right? It was everything that you had to get through to get on the field. Maybe that one, what Matt Rule took over at Baylor
Is
after Art Briles left was, I mean, you never thought that you would see something in the same vein as what we saw at Penn State back in 2011. The Baylor situation was, it was as disgusting of a story of what was happening in the football program at Baylor and what was the fallout of that. Deemed the job almost untouchable. Like nobody, it was kind of the feeling like nobody wanted the job, right? I mean, it came with so much
baggage.
Yeah, it came with a lot of stuff, man. And if you fail in that role, you'll probably kind of be washed out from just the coaching fraternity.
Career suicide.
It looked like it. It felt like it. It was not for Matt Rule. He turned Baylor into a very respectable Big 12 championship caliber program. And
well, if you saw his interview, was it last week with Matt Rule, wherever he was very clearly trying to get back into coaching, right? It was very evident. He was putting out a lot of, like, he's back in the media. He's great on the desk, by the way. Like, there's, when they do, like, the coaches show or whatever for the national for the national championship, he was on the desk for that whenever, all the coaches do, like, a roundtable during the game. He was far and away one of the smarter coaches there and, like, didn't mind speaking. He's like, oh, they're in this set. Like, he was flexing his muscles a little bit. And then he did the same thing last week where it's like, it's very evident he's trying to get a job. And for him to land the Nebraska job kind of makes puts life back into that program. When you say, I'd imagine he keeps Mickey Joseph on staff, and now you kind of have something there. You know, if you're Nebraska, you wake up this morning and go, hell yeah.
Yeah, they
Matt
could be
Schump's
really
a hell, it's a
relevant
home
again,
run.
right?
If you are a Nebraska fan, that is as good as you could have gotten.
What was their heyday? Like early 90s?
Oh, like the 90s.
I mean, I know it was before that too, but
the
like
80s,
they peaked.
Black
yeah,
shirts.
the 90s, the black shirt defense, and they ran a triple option style, and then they kind of changed it with Lawrence Phillips. But the big selling, what they were selling was that they were on TV.
Yeah.
That's why they were getting people, because they were going down to like Texas. They were going to get Mickey Joseph out of New Orleans, right? And I mean, like they were like selling him like you're going to be on national television every
The
week.
Notre Dame model.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was kind of like what they were selling. And once college football kept up, you know, I mean, people in the South were like, you're going to go, you're leaving Florida to go sit in the snow
Mickey,
in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Have you ever been to Nebraska?
You know what I mean? Like, why?
Find it on a map.
Have you seen what the girls look like at Nebraska compared to an SEC school? You know what I mean? Like,
That's true.
do you really want to go do that?
Corn fed, y'all.
You know, I mean, like, you just
Extra butter, extra salt.
and then
3
another
yards
one,
to cloud of dust,
which
shit.
I think is a great kind of under the radar, nobody talking about hire is Luke Fickell going to
I
Wisconsin.
know.
That is a massive, massive hit for Wisconsin. I think you got Jim Leonard on staff there, who is beloved. Yeah, but if you watch that game on Saturday where Wisconsin was playing Minnesota, they had the ball in the last minute with an opportunity to tie the game, and they had like 4 false starts. They had it was a meltdown of like,
You already can't have the shot.
oh my God.
Yeah.
You know, like this is some Les Miles stuff.
We're actually going to go a
You know what I
different
mean?
direction.
Like even like the announcer was like, "Oh goodness, it's falling apart for Leonard." You know what I mean? Like, it was.
It's test day.
Yes,
I'm
it was
failing.
bad. Like, I forgot my book. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not prepared for this. I'm not supposed to be
You knew
here.
it was today, right?
I mean, and like they were showing Leonard on the sideline, and he was kind of like, you know, like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You know what I mean? Like, I want to go back to being the defensive coordinator.
That's what do they keep him on
Maybe.
as DC?
Maybe.
Or does he go to where Fickle was?
I don't know. Maybe he goes to Nebraska.
Fickle is Einhorn.
Maybe he goes to
That's
Nebraska.
what I think every time. That's what I say in my head every time.
Einhorn is Finkel.
Einhorn is Finkel.
Maybe he's Nebraska's
The red
DC.
or the white?
How am I
Why
supposed
do
to
we
remember
quote,
this?
Why do we quote that movie like every day almost?
All right, Jake Crane coming up here in a couple of minutes. Remember, we're brought to you by Katie's Restaurant down in New Orleans. I was there on Wednesday.
Okay, how was it?
It's
Come
awesome.
It looked fire.
It's awesome.
on. Did you do the pizza?
He
Yeah,
did.
I did the pizza.
Okay, well, how was it?
Jeez.
Damn.
It looked good.
Always the first one to be questioned. Why do you do this? I did the pizza
No,
review.
I
on
didn't.
my-
I didn't think you didn't. I just asked.
I'm
Did you
sorry.
do the pizza?
Sorry.
Jeez, why are you so aggressive about it?
Because he knows why.
Jesus.
It's a pressure point for him to
All
say,
right.
yeah.
So, did you enjoy
I
the
did it.
pizza, Jordy?
Thank you, Katie.
Did
I
you
did.
enjoy it? How was it? Was it super thin?
Thin
said-
crust.
Like
was
cracker
fantastic.
crust?
It was cracker crust.
Okay.
You sound like the waitress whenever he was doing the review, and she walked in, and he's like, "Excellent, it's very good. Pizza's very good." That's all you need to
You
know.
need anything, honey?
I love that.
But it is such a
Oh, okay.
great crowd over in Katie's
is.
restaurant. So I was sitting with Scott Craig, who is the owner of the place, for a little bit, and I'm telling you, it was so New Orleans, man. We're sitting at the bar. He's getting ready for GCAT. Gus Kattengill's about to do his show on ESPN NOLA from Katie's.
That's cool.
And Scott is sitting at the bar with me. And everybody that walks through the door, like no shit, everybody that walks through the door is like, Scotty! Scott, how's your mom? You know, like, I heard about your mom and them, Scott. I'm so
How's the
sorry. You know what I
family?
mean? Like, hugging, you know, like, I'm sorry about your mom, Scott. Scott, I mean, he's got a big picture of his mom on the wall. 92 years old, Italian woman, lived in, you know, I mean, like, knew everybody in the neighborhood. You talk about a neighborhood cool spot. Katie's Restaurant on Iberville in Mid-City is awesome, man. If you want the vibe of New Orleans, if you want a good spot, if you're coming into town, if you're traveling through, if you're looking for a great spot to just sit down, grab a beer, grab a sandwich, grab something good, and get the vibe of the city, of like just all the personalities and people and stories and just, you know, nostalgia. of New Orleans. Katie's Restaurant has that in their bar today. Like, it's happening every
Right now.
single day at Katie's Restaurant. I can assure you that there will not be a spot at the bar at 12:15 today. So get over to Katie's, experience the great menu, katiesinmidcity.com, katiesinmidcity.com if you want to see the menu before you get there. The pizza's awesome. I would definitely try the pizza.
What kind did you get? Like topping
Meat
wise?
lovers.
It's got a name to it. Craig sent me the name, but it would be the meat lovers.
All right, just a bunch of meat.
Right.
Right up your alley.
Your
Right
style.
up my alley.
Your
Love the
style.
meat.
It's your restaurant.
Let me see here. Crane says he's looking for the link.
Oh, let me send him the link.
Hang on one second. Let me see the
Lloyd's
name.
too
Let me see
distracted by the meat.
Never. I feel like, yeah. Like,
Ooh, couldn't fight through, dude.
just gotta say something I shouldn't have.
Couldn't fight through.
Too much meat.
Let me tell y'all while
I
this
look
is
in the
on.
mirror every day, Katie.
I know you do.
Yep.
While we're on Cyber Monday, I don't know if y'all realize it's
Brad
Cyber
Bird.
Monday.
Brad Bird is the name of the pizza.
Why?
Brad Bird?
Brad Bird.
Brad Bird?
Bird. Is it named
Brad
after a
Bird.
person?
Like 2 words?
It's called the Brad Bird Pizza.
Okay. I believe you. I'm just trying to get it right. Like Brad Bird, like it was named after someone?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't
Okay.
know that.
Yeah.
No, I mean like it's one.
It's one word?
yes.
Brad Bird?
B-R-A-D.
What is that? What does that mean?
I don't know, Katie.
I
For
hate
God's sakes.
No, I'm curious.
Did you leave me
right?
alone? I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
Scott, please help.
Right.
What's the Brad Bird?
The Brad Bird.
Brad Bird is an
Cyber
American
Monday.
film director.
Really
If that
trying to get this
helps.
Cyber Monday deal out there.
Yeah.
Dead Soxy. Use the code Jordy Cyber Monday. You can buy one bundle and get one free. Y'all, I just got my shipment in of the athletic socks and I distributed them among the family because everyone in the family freaking
Merry
loves them.
Christmas.
You can now, I'm going to have to go online and do it again. You can now go and buy one bundle and get one free for Cyber Week, which is huge. So use the code Jordy. Go to deadsoxy.com, deadsoxy.com for Cyber Week starting today, Cyber Monday.
So Willie Fritz has not gotten the job at Georgia Tech, right?
Jordy, you're breaking news to me.
Who
I do
the
not know.
hell?
I have been. What do you think? Where do you think I went? What do you think I did? I
What did you do?
climbed into a hole after the game
Oh, after
Saturday,
Saturday.
and just
I knew
ignored
it.
everything.
I'm sorry, Lloyd.
It's okay.
I knew you were going to be super down.
I felt it coming. That's fine.
I mean, we did say it.
Pete Thamel, 14 hours ago. Sources: Georgia Tech interviewed Tulane coach Willie Fritz today. No deal has been struck
I would say
to
Tulane.
make him Tech's next coach. Fritz is a top candidate, but there are other interviews scheduled for upcoming days. Sites like Unnecessary Roughness has a
What, this
report
one?
that says Willie Fritz has been named
How funny is
Who
that?
knows? Well, I mean, all the rumors. It's ridiculous.
head
isn't
coach
it?
by Georgia Tech. Then there's a report by On3 says that they're nearing a deal with Georgia Tech. Bruce Feldman said 16 hours ago, have been hearing Tulane's Willie Fritz for Georgia Tech for a few days. Sounds like it's getting closer. He coached at Georgia Southern for a few seasons, and he's won everywhere he's been. I love Fritz. Fritz is one of those guys that, I mean, as soon as he lands, he's a program changer. I mean, like, you instantly become credible and begin getting players and winning when Fritz shows up. I'm kind of with Lloyd. Is Georgia Tech a better job than Tulane right now?
I guess it's more notable, but what he's
Is
trying- just the name, you know. Georgia Tech is still synonymous with like football. You could think
Yeah.
of Reggie Ball, Calvin Johnson. Like they have something. They have more than Tulane has. But in that same vein, it's also like what I said with Lane Kiffin. He makes whatever the program is.
Mm-hmm.
If Lane Kiffin goes to Ole Miss, is no different than Auburn, really, in my mind. And I know I caught shit for that, but
Yeah, you will catch it for that. It is totally
but
different.
it is whatever Lane Kiffin makes it. Same thing with Willie Fritz. Tulane is or Georgia Tech will be whatever job he wants it to be. It's him. He's the program changer. It's not the program anymore. And so that's why I don't know why he would leave. I feel like he has a great setup in Tulane.
He's got it going
But
at Tulane right
but
now.
Georgia Tech
man.
is a
I mean,
bigger school.
but if we're arguing ceilings,
What can you do at Tulane?
what can you do at Georgia Tech?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Go get your
it really
door
kind of
blown
comes
off.
down to lifestyle. Do I love New Orleans? I mean, really? Like, I mean, at that point, it would probably like comp on cities
And the money.
and comp on the money, and which I think Tulane privately can keep up. There are some heavy hitters in Tulane that care about the football program that if it came down to a few $100,000, that's chump change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To
Here.
the people that love Tulane football down there. You know, like, now they're not going to get into the SEC spending,
Right.
but I mean, if it comes down to a couple of $100,000, they could scrounge
Pony
that up
up.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they could have that deal done by 3:00. So I mean, it's
But
I don't know.
Georgia Tech is, I mean,
At one
think
time.
about- I know,
At
but I'm
one
talking
time.
about like location and
No
lifestyle
doubt. No doubt.
changes
No doubt. No doubt.
exponentially. You
No
don't have
doubt.
to worry about anything.
Yeah.
They got it in spades. It's an academic school more than anything. I think they're like big into.
Well, so is Tulane, bro.
Yeah, I know, but they're big into like engineering, and I think somebody from Menard actually went there, and then they work for NASA now.
I think they're equal in like academia, right?
Yeah, but I'm
Tech
talking.
and
I'm
Tulane?
talking about money and like where you're living.
Yeah.
Your Georgia Tech is, you're good.
Yeah.
New Orleans is New Orleans.
Oh. We just say that, I feel like,
It's dangerous.
because
What?
we're around here. Like it's not as much.
lot
of
of people
draw
killed
to
over the
us.
weekend
No,
in
I'm
New
not talking
Orleans.
about
Yes, I
murder
mean-
rate. I'm just talking about the school, college there, and living there.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
everything. Like
No
people
doubt.
come from all over for Tulane.
Yeah.
Same with
Heavy
Georgia
influence
Tech.
from like the northeast.
Northeast.
Yes.
We see Jake Crane.
Not yet. I did send him the link though.
Okay.
I did send him the link. Do you want to go to break?
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
What do you want to talk about? What happened this weekend?
Weird football weekend, huh?
Did you listen to the press conference? We have 12
BK?
cut-ups from BK.
Yeah.
He seemed so
He
he was
know,
heartbroken.
You know what I kind of felt was that he kind of expected it
yeah,
because of what last week felt like. I'm looking forward to seeing the LSU Gold from this week to see what his message was, or if there's any like insight to late in the week him being like,
come on, guys.
I'm not really feeling,
Yeah,
this
it's gonna
isn't
be
feeling,
tough.
this isn't feeling good, because you could sense early on that they were a couple of clicks off. You know what I mean? Like it just,
You mean he expected to lose?
not that he expected to lose, but he expected his team to not execute as good or
Right.
as high performing as they have been. I mean, look, in the third quarter when Daniels fumbles the ball, if LSU scores there, they probably win.
Yeah.
They blew him out.
You know what I mean? They probably win the game, even, like, not unprepared. That's the wrong term. Not as prepared as they have been in previous weeks, or not as well prepared as they have been in previous
Not
weeks.
as prepared as A&M.
No, and like we
Perfect
knew
storm.
it. We knew it last week.
Yeah.
A&M was playing with what
Yes.
in sports is the greatest drug that you can serve a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got house money, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're A&M, if you're the coaching staff, if you couldn't motivate them last week, you really do need to find a new trade, because that thing was put on a tee
Yeah.
for Texas A&M.
It was.
Right? But I mean, look, credit them.
I mean,
they
honestly, yes.
turned on it and they
They did.
executed. And Devin A-Chain had a career night, and LSU was caught.
Yeah.
I mean, they got caught
Yeah.
slipping. And in the SEC, it doesn't matter if you play the worst team in the West, you play the middle tier in the West, or you play the front of the pack like LSU is this season. You slip up, you get beat. And that's what happened. And I think listening to Kelly's comments in the postseason or in the post game, it was almost like he kind of wasn't surprised by their lack of execution. I think he was at the question, if we have it, is let me know when Jake gets here, so I don't want him to sit. But Lloyd, help me out here because I'm looking at your cuts. You would know better than me.
I would say it's the first one where he talks about trying to win in the SEC.
And there's a question about Harold Perkins specifically. And he says he's very talented, but he's one of the guys that I'm talking about. We've got to develop traits, like where he's not calling Perkins out. He's just giving an example in the program of like, even our most talented guy has to understand that when the record next to the team says one thing, you still got to prepare as if it's Bama. As if it's like, I think LSU is going to be finely tuned this week, right? Like, I think that they're dialed in right now as we speak, right? And we'll have, in what I believe, a great week of preparation. They'll be dialed in. The coaching staff has immediate examples that you can bring up to prove that if you do slip and you start to lose focus, You could get beat by the worst team in the league. So if you want to beat the best team in the league, you better tighten up like today, right? Like that shit last week ain't going to happen, because if it does, you're going to get blown out again. And for as good as this season has been, and it has been a high, and it will be a success no matter when it ends, how it ends, where it ends. This season is a success under Brian Kelly in his first year. But if you go get blown out in back-to-back weeks where, you know, the end of that game on Saturday night, it got away from LSU. Right? Like, it wasn't a blowout for 4 quarters, but at the end, if you just look at the score on paper, you think, damn, A&M beat the hell out of LSU. And if they do that again this week, you start to lose the taste of that moment. That's why when talking to Lucci and A&M, like, we remember the last thing we saw or felt from you, right? And the last thing we saw from A&M after a train wreck of a season is them run the SEC Western Division champs off the field and do it with the majority of younger guys. So for as low as stock as A&M has had this year, and it has been through the floor on A&M, if you watch Saturday night, the last thing we saw for them, the line's kind of starting to curve up. You know, you're kind of thinking, wow, going into the offseason, they're trending into a positive. I think LSU's line, no matter what happens, again, no matter what, where, and how the season ends, doesn't matter the bowl game, your opponent, it will be deemed a success. The stock line on LSU will be going vertical. But 4 days ago,
You're talking.
it was straight up, right? After the A&M game, it's a little here.
Lose to A&M, lose to Georgia, then
Go get blown out by Georgia in the SEC title game. We're still going vertical. You know what I mean? But we're losing a lot of our, we're losing a lot of plane here. We're coming down here. Then if I go to the bowl game and it continues, you're still trending in the right direction. But there were times in the season where you were, you know what I mean? Like you were going through the ceiling straight up, you know? Play y'all's game
Don't
with
say
y'all.
lose. Don't
You
say
pervs.
lose to Georgia though.
I'm not.
Not you, Lloyd.
I think that LSU is going to be finely tuned this week. I think that they're going to give LSU. I think they're going to give Georgia a hell of a game, a 4-quarter game. I think LSU is going to have an opportunity to win the game in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And some of these games that we've talked about, these big matchups this season, that's all you can ask for. Tennessee game, Alabama game, Georgia game, all you can ask for is that in the fourth quarter, you have a chance to win it. And if you do, that stock line will stay vertical and stay roaring vertically no matter what the outcome is, win or lose. If they go compete with Georgia, 4 quarters, lose on a field goal at the end, you're good. It's all good. Kind of supposed to happen. The line's 17.5. You go there and get beat by 21, 24, 28, and you get run, it's a different story, when we show back up next Monday. Still positive. Still made the league championship. Still navigated the SEC West. Still first-year head coach, first-year quarterback, a lot of new faces. There's still a lot that you have to
that becomes the conversation.
Take into account.
Right.
But you can finish this thing with 3 in
a row.
You can go scoop up and close the number 1 recruiting class in the country. I know that you've got it. I know that there are some people within recruiting services that feel like LSU has the top class, but it's different to have them committed than have them signed. You end the season with the momentum you were riding 2 weeks ago, where you go play with Georgia, make it a good game, lose on a field goal, win on a field goal, then go to a bowl game and dominate somebody. Man, LSU might be the hottest brand in college football in the offseason if they do that. Because 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, they were amongst the hottest brands in college football. They still have that.
They still are, yeah.
They still have. They're still floating in that atmosphere. but there's a little bit of that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of podcasts I listened to on Sunday and this morning that who had LSU getting blown out by Texas A&M? Not me. You know, no. Everybody kind of thought LSU was going to get off the bus, kick the thing off, and it was going to kind of take care of itself. And that's a good reality check, I think, for all of us. Locker room, staff, fans, people that cover the program, they're not there yet. They used to be a brand where they would beat you in warm-ups, right? I mean, there would be times where a team full of true freshmen playing for Texas A&M would look across and see a veteran-laden LSU team with a bunch of freak first-round picks on it and just say, you know what? Not today. They're not there yet. And I'm cool with that.
And
this is the fun part.
Right.
The fun part is this part of the climb, right? I mean, like if you were around during the Saban building block days, these were kind of the days and the games that you were like, okay, I mean, it gives you a little bit of a measuring stick where you are, right? Where there's a lot of us, probably guilty here on this microphone, that thought LSU was a little bit more advanced than in reality what they truly are. I didn't think that they were a national champion type team, but I mean, I thought that the last month in the way that they had played,
hottest team in the country.
I mean, made me feel that they'll be prepared and they'll have a chance at the end to beat A&M. I mean, I knew A&M was going to be tough, but I didn't think that they would lose their focus like they did. And they did. So it was good to kind of see that's where they are.
What makes you say lose their focus?
Maybe not focus, but just I'm talking about the focus of the preparation last week. I just kind of get the feeling that last week was very loose around the building.
I feel like they were tapped. Like if you could have another bye week, it'd have been a great time for one, because this is my feeling on it. This is what I was telling people that, obviously a lot of phone calls were made after the game. That's what happens when LSU loses. I get a lot of phone calls from my brother. But it just felt like this is what Brian Kelly squeezed all the juice he could out of this orange. Like, this is what you got.
Yeah.
And you kind of saw it, I don't want to say unravel, but you saw it, you could see the bottom of your drink. You're like, I'm done. Jaden Daniels starts to get hurt. The offense sputters, no Josh Williams. Like, this is what the team was not supposed to be where they are.
Yeah.
Right? And then you see it play out on a national stage, which is unfortunate for them to lose to A&M, because it's kind of, it's easy to make jokes. But LSU has done everything they can for, like, they're undermanned still, and people don't really realize that. But everybody has given a 100% effort. And you saw Jaden Daniels do that on Saturday, despite the stat line. Miss me with anything that you want to say about him. He left everything he had on the football field. Like, that's all you can ask for from an LSU team.
I agree.
It is.
I agree.
They play hard.
Remember RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew at rmb-builders.com, rmb-builders.com. They're on Instagram as well, if you want to find them there at RMB Builders. They're on fire there. They got all the projects that's happened here around the holidays. If you're looking for an addition, you got family coming in, you just had family owner and realize you need more space, get in touch with Rhett Bourgeois and his crew and let him be a part of your addition and reconstruction. They can build your new home for you, a dream home for you if you're looking for that. rmb-builders.com, Rhett Bourgeois and RMB. Check them out online or search them on social media. Hit them on Instagram, RMB Builders. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Are we co-SEC champs now? Why do people keep saying that?
Co.
What does that mean?
Co-champs.
Why? Who are we co with?
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com.
We're sitting in the dugout.
So funny you say that.
And Pelfrey is not pitching today, but he's in full uni, he's turfs. and he's standing up on like the
First step.
fence, like whatever, just like this, watching the game, and we start talking about, you know, pissing your pants, like something like whatever. And he was like, "I'll piss my pants right now." And we're wearing,
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, "I'll piss my pants right now." No, you won't. Yeah, how much money do you give me? So we gathered up like however many people were in there. I think it ended up being like $2,000 total. Like,
I'd piss my pants for $2,000.
And
100%.
so he goes in there, and he's watching the game, and he just starts pissing in his pants, gray pants.
Yeah.
So you see it going down his pants. It's long pants going into his turfs. And he's just going into his turfs. He takes his turfs out and dumps out the pee outside on the warning track, on the dugout. And he just puts them back on, and he finishes the inning. He waits till the inning is over with to leave. And so he's watching the whole inning with piss in his pants. And everybody is dying laughing. Manager's laughing. Everybody's laughing. He gets up out of it and walks to the dugout, pee all in his pants, and the gray pants. It was awesome.
I remember telling them, hey, listen, my job here is to make sure that we bring, you know, big time football to a small town environment, right? And so you see on you know, movies sometimes about the way a town reacts to the football program and what it means to everybody, and that was the hopes and dreams that I had for the place. And so our kids take a distinct responsibility in wearing that Z on their helmet. It means a lot to them. And then on the flip side of that, our community does a tremendous job of supporting our program, supporting the athletic department, supporting our school as a whole. And there's really a great relationship there that's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Thank you for the access, man. Looking forward to tonight. We'll talk soon.
Coach, wait, before you go, fix your hair again one more time.
Oh, look at him.
Let's go.
Yes.
Here.
Look at him.
What do you think about that?
Game day,
What do you
baby.
think about that?
Game day. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, man. Great to see you. Thank you.
You too, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. There he is.
Representing.
There he is. My guy. David Brewerton checking in. What does Harold Perkins do for this defense? What does he allow you guys to do?
Yeah, Perk, man, he's just so raw, man. Like, all he know how to do is make a play. You know, but I love him. He brings a certain type of juice to the defense. You know, and he's right alongside of me on the edge. He knows how to rush the edge. You know, as a young guy, that's very valuable to the defense, being able to rush the edge. You know, making the quarterback step up. But yeah, they put him everywhere. You know, middle linebacker, outside rusher. You know, maybe sometimes he's gonna be in a drop. So he's very versatile for our defense.
Question in that game. You're listening to the Jordy Culotta Show live on YouTube. Catch it every day, 7 to 9 a.m. wherever you have internet access.
Oh, my guy, the host of Mac and Cube.
You said you wanted me to close it out.
I listen to his pod every day on WJOX 94. I thought I was going to beat Charlie. I didn't. You were fantastic as always. Have a great call in Missouri. I'll see you soon, man.
Thanks, man. Good
Later.
talking to you, Jordy.
Always. There he is. Cole Kublik, the absolute best. Don't overthink it, ABC. When you move to a primetime slot and the SEC is getting that billing, make this man the color commentator. He's the absolute best.
Ooh, I mean, what a pro.
What a pro. Make All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Monday edition. Hopefully everybody had a good, happy holiday, extended weekend, Thanksgiving, around friends and family as we're back here with you on this Monday morning. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button as we get going. We've talked a lot about LSU and a little bit of Saturday night's fallout from the loss after Devin Achane and Texas A&M run all over LSU. 215 yards for Achane, couple of scores. LSU beats or falls to Texas A&M 38-23. LSU is now 9-3 on the season. They'll be in the SEC title game versus Georgia. Georgia, the number one team in the country. That'll be a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday on CBS. A couple of highs from Saturday. Malik Neighbors had 7 catches for just under 70 yards, averaged about 9.9 yards per catch. John Emery had 3 rushing touchdowns. He had 55 yards on the ground, held on to the ball as well.
He almost broke one.
He did. And then they missed him in that flat. That was underthrew him, man. That thing
that
would
was
have
the play
gone
against Alabama.
That was the Auburn play.
Auburn play, excuse me. Yes, where I think they did it against Alabama too. The one where he put his
yeah,
foot
that's
in the
right.
ground.
That's right. Both of them.
LSU has
the one against Auburn is where he jumped.
Yeah. Don't tell Caskey.
I mean, that was his first carry in nearly 3 years, bro. I mean, like, he's freaking out.
You look like a dog that just got outside.
Like, I would have loved to have a mic'd up version of that. He's like,
I'm a kid again.
Like, jumping. I mean, that was moving very fast for him.
Yeah, it's like when your toddler gets outside, like, no, come back here. It's like, no way. Like, you're chasing me. Like, I'm having way too much fun. Right. But it's still fun to, like, it was a great John Emery game. It felt good for him to see him do that because he deserves it. I feel like he deserves all of that.
I agree.
Hopefully it doesn't lead him to the league, but there's a lot of things that you can see where you're like, the NFL is watching.
No, I'm pulling for. He needs to go to the league. Don't waste those carries in college, John Emery.
Don't say that. Come back.
Man, they got good guys. They got good running backs coming in.
But that's how LSU lost. They missed on the plays that they hit on all year, where they have a couple of staples that, whether it be an RPO and a lot of people are going to mention the fumble.
Yeah, again, that's concerning. That mesh point is concerning.
When you do it that often, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
But Brian Kelly pointed to it over and over and over again in the press conference. Like, well, that fumble, and he's not throwing anybody on the bus. He's just like, it killed us. Because scoop and score, now the place is on.
Yeah, and you got a chance to swing it.
You were about to run away with it.
Yeah, you're about to win the game.
Lloyd and I were talking on the break though. That premature field rush was so funny.
Oh,
we're out here
when they just kind of started trickling in and then had
so
to
Aggie.
turn around and go back.
So Aggie.
It was so good.
Back to the line.
But
y'all are gonna get arrested.
What were they doing?
They don't know. They don't know how to win. They don't know how to win. What do you want?
Yeah, right.
I
mean, we sauntered out for, was it Auburn? Ole Miss.
But at the right time.
Yeah, no, but it was
there were plays going on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, shit. Fuck. I don't know. I hated it.
So, as Gerald Keene points out, co-SEC Western champs. That's right. LSU owns the tiebreaker. Both Alabama and LSU's losses come to a Western and an Eastern Division team.
They're
right?
co-champs with Alabama?
Hang the banner.
I mean, LSU lost to Florida State, so that loss doesn't count in the grand scheme of the SEC race. LSU lost to Tennessee. Alabama lost to Tennessee. LSU lost to Texas A&M. Alabama lost to LSU, which means that LSU owns the tiebreaker in a 2-loss conference season where both losses for the champs were one on the east side, one on the west side. With LSU beating Alabama in early November, they own the tiebreaker, so they go to Atlanta. But I doubt Alabama has the gall to fly a co-champ SEC Western Division flag at Bryant-Denny.
I
mean, we will point and laugh at your Ole Miss tactics forever if you fly that flag, Alabama.
Is that a thing? Will they give you a
Ole
banner?
Miss did it.
You'll give you a banner for co-champs or something
Ole Miss
to
did it in
display?
2003. I can't imagine that Alabama would claim.
No,
they're not.
I mean, they would claim it on the record book.
Yeah.
But I doubt you see an SEC media guide or something that says SEC co-Western Division. If it does, the panic is real in Tuscaloosa if that's true.
To which I raise you, they think they're going to make it to the playoff. Just ask Hunter Hall. There's everything that had to happen.
I'm not sitting here today thinking that they got an impossible shot.
Yeah,
do they have an unlikely and difficult road to get there? Yes. But one thing that we can all confirm about that committee, about the playoff committee, I've got no idea what they're talking about. I got no idea what the prerequisites are. I've got no idea what they need to see to put you in the field. I can guarantee all of them love Bama. Yeah. They all freak out over Alabama because they correlate Alabama to television ratings. Mm-hmm. They think in that room that if it comes close and it gets close, we might as well just put them in because everybody's going to watch.
It is going to be close.
And that's The difficulty here of running this thing with human beings making the decisions, because at the end of it, it's all going to come back to the money, the advertising dollar, and how they can get the most of it. And they know a field that features Alabama is a more popular field than any other one that does not include them that exists, right? Like, you can make the fourth team Ohio State. You can make the fourth team Tennessee. You can make the fourth team whoever the hell you want to make it. If it's not Bama, the suits don't feel like the college football mass crowd, the most college football crowd will show up. And that's ultimately what they care about, because it's nothing but a television show to them, right? Like, I mean, I know to everybody who's in markets waiting to hear whether or not their name of the team is called, it means more than that. But to the people that are making these decisions, it's a business. They're trying to get as much money as they possibly can by setting a field of 4 teams that they've got the power and authority over who gets in and who gets left out.
So it's just up to them now, right? Because the deal is TCU loses Big 12 championship. LSU loses either A&M or
LSU's out.
Georgia.
LSU's
and USC loses versus Notre Dame.
Dead.
LSU's out. USC, I think, is going to be the one that is going to be debated. And I think if they take care of business versus Utah this weekend, that they should be fine, right? Like, they should be fine. TCU plays Kansas State in the Big 12 game. I mean, that's a sticky spot, but I'm tired of saying that TCU is in a sticky spot. I'm tired of getting burned on them. I just look to Kansas State, though, they can kind of play TCU's game. Like, they can put up points.
It's a lot of LSU Georgia where you look at it on paper, I don't mind playing that game in the phone booth, but I said that before what I just saw. Whatever happened on defense with 6. And I haven't seen LSU's defense look like that all year.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I guess the Florida State game you could point to maybe, but they had no answer. And it wasn't even just, what's his name, A-Chain?
A-Chain?
A-Chain. It wasn't even just the A-Train. It was when one came in, the same thing happened. It was like, this isn't a player problem. This is a fit problem. Like, whatever Texas A&M schemed up, didn't matter. It could have been me running the ball. Nobody was touching anybody. Perkins, 1 tackle.
Yeah, something was up with Perk, man.
Schemed him out the game.
Yeah.
Hunter Hall brings up something that we talked about at the beginning of the show that I think is going to happen. Michigan is going to be number 1 this week because they don't want an SEC semifinal matchup with Georgia and Bama at 4. Now, Hunter is getting clouded with his crimson glasses there and trying to find a way for Bama to get into the field, which I appreciate and respect your style, Hunter. And look, as a Gump, I probably wouldn't lose sleep until the final announcement is made on Sunday because, like I said, for whatever reason, you're kind of the Kim Kardashian of the room. Everybody's like, she's sitting right there. I don't know. She wants to get in. She's bringing ratings. She's got 1 million followers on social media. We should probably bring her. I don't know, man.
Why is she still here at 2 a.m.? Is it me?
Right. Is that Bama hanging around? Look at her. God.
There's not going to be a bigger LSU fan than Hunter Hall this weekend.
Yeah.
He needs LSU to beat Georgia for Alabama because that's the last, right? You need USC to, I guess, Utah to beat USC. TCU to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you need chaos.
Yeah.
Do they need all of that to happen? Do they need all 3 or just 1?
No, I think they need it all to happen to have a chance, right?
I kind of feel like Georgia and LSU's outcome doesn't have that much bearing on. I think Georgia's in. I think their spot is secure. I don't know what that loss would do to the shakeup of the Final Four.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's in, win or lose, come Saturday, right? I think that Michigan is in, win or lose, come Saturday.
Breaks off Ohio State.
Right? They beat the hell out of Ohio State. And Ryan Day is in big, big trouble. And Ryan Day is pulling more than anybody, in my opinion, to be left out of the Final Four. He's got no problem being 5th because if you give him a potential semifinal or national championship matchup with Michigan again, and they beat him, I don't know if you like. You got to imagine the temperature on Day's seat today after 2 losses to Michigan is heating up. If he was to lose a third in a month to Michigan, I mean, bro, Herb looked so comfortable at the Horseshoe on Saturday. I mean, he had his hands on his stomach watching the game. He got his shades on. Looked stoned.
Yeah.
Looking for some blonde to, like put his arm around.
Never. He's like the Pope in Rome.
When Ryan Day punted on that 4th down, rather than going for it, they showed Herb. Herb was like,
wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I don't know about that call, Ryan. I don't know about that call, man.
He is untouchable.
He's untouchable. And look, man,
it.
don't think that somebody within the Ohio State administration, when that game went final, sent a text message to Herb and said, hold tight.
Oh, he's holding tight.
Just hold tight, dude. We are working some things behind the scenes where we're going to try to get this thing figured out and get you back to Columbus, because there's also some reports out of Auburn that the boosters are saying there's only one person that can come into this league with Brian Kelly, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, all these guys, Josh Heupel, and do it. And it ain't you. Some people within the Auburn community are saying that Urban Meyer is a real name on the Plains.
Really?
Put Urban Meyer in the SEC West. Put Herb in the SEC West. He might do to Saban what Saban did to him 15 years ago. Saban might be faking heart attacks in Tuscaloosa.
Urban cannot handle the stress anymore. He can go to Ohio State 100%.
What do you mean? It could not get any worse than for Herb. So, I mean, he has witnessed the worst of it. Herb, we all know you're a raging perv, bro. We all know that you're a dirtball. Everybody knows your locker room that you had at the University of Florida. We get it, man. We get it. But for whatever reason, in a sport full of criminals, like the Hugh Freeze stuff is laughable at this point.
Wrong
I
phone.
mean, who in the hell in college football made all of us the moral police? Like, we really give a damn what Hugh Freeze is? Hugh Freeze beat Saban twice. Tell the Auburn people that. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Like, here, you want him or not? Hell yeah, we want him. He called hookers on a recruiting trip. Who gives a damn?
It's because he got caught.
You know what I mean? But it's...
And he painted himself in a different light. That's the thing. He was Jesus. You can't be Jesus and call hookers.
Well, Mary Magdalene is on
if I was at Auburn, I'd take Herb in a heartbeat. And I can't stand Urban Meyer. I can't stand Urban Meyer. I think he is a fraud. I think he is...
kind of respect him.
But like at the end of the day, bro, he shades on in the Horseshoe. I mean, like across his chest with the natty ring on. His team was the 2012 team was featured before the game. He was like talking about all of them. We love this group. Such a fine group of guys. Yeah, like
know their mom.
Yeah, like Herb. Nobody believes you, man. But every AD in the country, especially a school like Auburn, where it means so much to compete in football, they would take him 10 out of 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like
they would.
It would be undebated. So like this stuff. Oh, Hugh Freeze. There's some people on Auburn's campus that just can't get over what he did. Like, get the hell out of here.
You know how badly we want to win?
Oh, dude.
That's all it takes. It's like, do you want to win or not?
Yeah, right.
Leave all that, everything else at the door.
It was so. I mean,
look at this.
Could you imagine Urban Meyer in this conference?
No,
I mean,
but
like,
I would love it, honestly.
Absolutely,
it would be great.
I mean, that's what the basketball conference has become. Look at her.
He looks like the coach.
Look at her. Where's my spot?
Yeah. Y'all want to defer?
Look, follow me.
Heads or tails?
Right this way. Look at her.
I know exactly.
Look, even the old usher's like, don't look at him. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Look at that old guy. He's like, oh, look, there's Herb. Look at him. I love that guy.
Who's going to stop me, huh?
Herb, have you met my daughter?
Yeah. Take her.
She loves your restaurant.
He had to rebrand it then to close it down.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, Herb. Damn it.
What did they rebrand it to?
It was the Brass Rail. But it's his. Like
Brad David Freeze also had recruiting violations. So did LSU, man. So did everybody.
Everyone.
I mean, give me a break. And now none of that matters. NIL exists. Hugh Freeze was landing Robert Kimdichie in 2012.
That was the best.
You know what I mean? When Alabama, who was the wide receiver that they got of Chicago that never took an official visit to Ole Miss? He never took a visit to the campus, and he signed with Ole Miss. Laquan Treadwell?
Yes.
Laquan Treadwell never took a visit to Ole Miss. He was from Illinois. The number one wide receiver in the country decided he'll go to Oxford the week of signing day.
Lake Sardis.
Hugh was doing like some crazy stuff, to get him. Cheating his ass off at Ole Miss. What you got to do to win? There's no – how is Ole Miss supposed to compete with Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia without cheating?
Without cheating, yeah.
Because they're all doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody else is doing it. What do you mean that we can't do it? Buy the kid a car. Take his brother.
Was the way he was portrayed, though. That was the problem. He was such a good Christian.
Such a good
That was the problem. That was it.
That's
a problem in Mississippi. It's a big problem in Mississippi.
Well, it's a tough. You make yourself such an easy target.
Yes.
Right. That has been like the part that it kind of feels like Hugh has not gotten over.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost because he still kind of puts it in your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He still kind of is that godly person, which I am not condemning anybody for their faith, but when you push it on people and then you make a mistake of, calling hookers, you are wide open. Like you have opened yourself up for an incredible amount of just jokes, banner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're but he handles it very well.
He does. He does.
The amount that he probably hears that stuff every single Saturday. You know what I mean? Like every single week.
Speaking of hearing it every single Saturday, did y'all see this? Where
controls the line of scrimmage, wins. That's second half, Matt. The Wolverines ran for 242 yards.
Yeah.
So Ohio State's 19.
Yeah.
Check and check.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I know Donovan Edwards finished with a big game, but this game.
He is.
Perfect, dude.
He's probably like,
what'd you think about that? Ohio State's going through.
I'm here for it, bro.
Yeah.
Put Herb in the conference, man.
Yeah.
You got all this money. You got the best facilities. You got the best players. You got the best games. You got put the best of the best in the league, and let them find out who's the cream of the crop, man. I'm all for that. Every single SEC Saturday. You could have Kirby Smart in town. You could have Urban Meyer in town. You could have Jimbo Fisher in town. You could have Josh Heupel, Brian Kelly.
League.
Come on, man. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
It will kill one person. It will kill either Nick Saban or Urban Meyer. Just Urban Meyer would have signed up for Hell in a Cell.
I think Herb's got to want a little bit of
Nick.
He's got to want a little bit of reprieve on that, right? He's got to know how bad it looks for him on what Saban did. He had him faking heart attacks during games.
Eating Papa John's by himself.
That shot of him where he hits the knees in Atlanta could be one of the funniest things that I've ever seen.
That
is just
forever. You want us to do
Herb, what do you want us to do? Stop the game? You know what I mean? So what now, man?
You're dead.
So what?
I think he kills Nick. Did you see Nick's old man punch on his face?
What happened?
I think he got hit
catch a
by
helmet?
a player.
Yeah. A Selly.
But
Sean
you know
McVay. Did you see Sean McVay?
And he tried so hard to act like he was okay.
I think he was stumbling.
He was.
No,
He
I don't know
turned
if he was,
around and hit his face.
Cover it. I think he was like, boys, I'm fucked for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm in a spot.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see this?
It was scary.
One of McVay's rookie is taking the field on Saturday, and McVay is walking, and they just they intersect, bro, and it's a headshot.
It's like he just walked next to him and kind of did his head over like that. It was really weird.
Why did it hit him so hard?
It was I think it was just the way it hit him.
Can you show it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a
bad.
lot. It was a lot.
Ooh!
Yeah, he's just running out. I don't
And
even
the
think
dude
he
doesn't even
realized
stop.
he did. I don't think he realized he did it. I don't even think he could see.
Rookie coach.
A cut.
Better be a player.
See, like turned, and then I don't think he even looked back to see who he hit. But yeah, Sean like kind of turned around and like had to like compose himself for a minute.
Ooh.
Fuck.
Oof.
Tough
So
one.
what happened to Saban?
I think the same thing. I think he got hit by a player. I mean, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong about that, but he had those, like, you know how older men, like, your skin gets really thin and you just get cut so easily? You know, they always have cuts on the back of their hands or, like,
he's got a
burst
dry
open.
crack?
It's like, and it's just dried blood. Like, it's just, like, it'll never heal. It'll probably take, like, a
Nikki,
month.
take your Dr. Souls that you rub on the bottom of your feet and put on your face.
Have you not seen Nick yet?
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at this.
No, I've seen it. I've seen it.
It is a little bit of old man skin. I agree
Yeah,
with
it
you.
is.
You're
It's
gonna get
total old
some,
man skin.
But it's so funny.
It is.
He's so proud of himself. He's like, I'm wearing this.
Yeah,
Look
right.
at
Yeah,
me.
right.
he is. He didn't even clean the blood.
I mean, he looks like he got in a car crash.
He really does.
You should see the other guy.
Yeah, that's what he says.
I mean,
love Saban.
just wipe.
He looks
wipe
like
the
he
drip
just got out of
off.
war.
He does.
No, I'm keeping it.
Mark Cumbie, Urban to Stanford. No way.
No,
Oh.
they don't want him.
There's nobody at the games.
Have you
Urban's
seen
gotta
the
li-
women at Stanford?
Urban's a spotlight guy, man. He's looking for the center stage. I mean, he wants all of it. He wants to sit on the 50 in the horseshoe and break down Ohio State, Michigan, and have the crowd chanting, "We want Urban" behind him. That's a tough scene for Ryan Day, man. That's a tough scene for Day. Because you know one of his coaches is going back in there being like, that fucking Urban is out there fucking soaking it all up. He chose Michigan to win the game. Like, I mean, like he's this guy, Urban, man. You know, like, I mean, like some of his coaches are like, this fucking guy, dude.
And he'll get the job if he wants it.
Urban. Yeah, right. He's
Totally.
fucking sitting there with the AD. What's the AD? Gene Smith. Palling around campus. You see the flag? 13 champs.
We want Herb.
The team's here today. Lead them out, Herb.
Walks right on the field.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coaching.
Ryan Day's going to Stanford. That makes more sense. Day's dead. I'm telling you, Day is done in Ohio State. He could. I mean, who was the coach that won all the games with Michigan and they roned him out of there? Was it John Cooper? They had one Ohio State coach that was mad success, but he couldn't beat Michigan. That was the one game a year he couldn't win. And it was like, bro, you can win 9-10 games a year and take us to the I think you go to the Rose Bowl if you win. You go to the Natty. You know, like Michigan was going to the Natty. They were going to the Rose because they couldn't get over the hump. And they were like, you got to get out of here, man. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be able to hack it here.
Well, the same thing happened to Harbaugh, except he just finally put the shoe on the other foot. But they wanted to run him because he could not beat Ohio State. And then it turns into now Harbaugh is like the hottest name in town again.
I gotta compliment Harbaugh because Harbaugh's another one that's very easy to point and laugh at. He's been an easy target at Michigan, and some things that have been done by Harbaugh, I think that we've definitely overlooked down here. We're not covering Michigan football. We're not paying that much attention to Michigan football, but I do know that 3 years ago, Harbaugh went to the administration after they came with a plan that said, hey, man, we want to reconstruct your contract because you have not lived up to what we have been paying you. And without a lot of fanfare, without a lot of notoriety, without a lot of being out in the public, Harbaugh did that. And I believe he gave back nearly half of his salary.
And he tried to go to the NFL again.
And look, I'm not saying that was an easy decision for Harbaugh. I'm not saying that it was a tough choice for Harbaugh. I don't know his financial status, but anytime you make it about the money, either way, we all know it changes, right? The mood on something changes when money is involved. And whether you don't believe somebody is owning up to their part of the deal and earning what they're being paid, or you're kind of on the other side saying, I'm not earning my take. Now, how much does that happen? Very, very rare, right? Very rare. Think of it in private settings, how much that has people won't even know it. If you're a banker today, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a whatever your trade is, if your boss calls you in and asks you to take a pay cut, odds are it won't be on SportsCenter. right? It won't be on the front page of the paper or on, the latest online service you're reading. You won't see that. Harbaugh's stuff was front page news, gave back the cash, and was told within, hey, man, you've also got to change your ways. You got to change the way you hire. You got to change the way you treat these guys. You got to change the way that you run the program. And for somebody that I have always, we talk about Brian Kelly and the perception that Kelly kind of put out, and I was wrong, dead wrong on who Brian Kelly, who I perceived him to be, right? I always perceived Jim Harbaugh, and he still may be. I've never covered him, don't know him, but I always thought that he was a very, tough to deal with guy, rigid personality. Very like dealing with sandpaper. Like everything's going to be, it's always going to be effort to get through to this guy. He has given back some money. He's brought in new coaches. He's got players. He's developing guys. And Michigan they've changed the total feel and perception in the way that their program at least is felt nationally for me. Because if you watch that game on Saturday, I mean, they manhandled Ohio State. And there was some shady call. I'm not getting into the officiating. But when it came down, they were running the football and they were trying to scheme and make plays. I mean, it was obvious when Ohio State put all of their energy into stopping their run. That cat, J.J. McCarthy, if he plays like that all year, he's a Heisman candidate. Either way, he's a legend in Ann Arbor because of what happened to him on Saturday. Forever. 3 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground. I mean, like that guy, he looked like Johnny Manziel out there. I mean, Michigan Harbaugh was a tough compliment for a while. Easy joke. They're not anymore. Michigan, they
Are you scared of Michigan if you're LSU? I know obviously that's not going to happen, but I would line it up with Michigan.
Sure.
That's
Nobody in the country scares me as an LSU fan covering LSU, right? Like, I mean, look, you're playing the king of the mountain on Saturday. I got no fear going into that game competitively what LSU could do. Now, could Saturday night happen? What just happened in College Station where third quarter you're in the game, make one mistake and you get run out? Yeah. I mean, possibly. But
Night's here to play.
Yeah, right. Tee it up. Play this thing. And I think everything from roster to sideline to leadership and coaches, you're in a good spot. Do you have as good a roster as you're playing on Saturday? No. Do you have as good a coach as they do on Saturday? Yeah. So, I mean, let's see.
Are you ready for a little LSU Georgia trivia for the day?
Yeah, hit me.
All right. So LSU's 3-1 against Georgia in SEC championship games. Did y'all know that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Including a 34-13 victory in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember which LSU player received MVP honors
Justin Vincent.
in that game? That's right. Justin Vincent. He ran for over 200 yards with 2 scores in his MVP performance in LSU's win over
I think
Georgia.
for the longest time, that was in the Natty.
I know. I just love it.
For the longest time, his run in the second half versus Georgia was the longest touchdown run in SEC championship history.
Really?
I mean, it was an 87,
89
89 yard. But I remember we were sitting in that end zone, and it was a toss sweep to him, and Michael Clayton cracked the DB from Georgia that sprung him outside. And once he got outside, I didn't know that Justin Vincent was that fast. I didn't know that he could go nearly wire to wire on a football field. And he was looking back like he did against Derek Strait in Oklahoma on the first play of the game.
Bring up the Oklahoma first play of the game.
He kind of got caught looking back.
for the
and
yeah.
if he wouldn't have looked back, if he just
keep
sprinted,
going, Coach.
he'd have taken it to the house.
And then what happened after that?
Then what happened after that? LSU fumbled.
Mm-hmm. Next play.
Yeah.
Gave the ball back.
They did. But then they picked it.
And then they were better.
Corey Webster picked it. Still one of my most favorite highlights of all time because Corey Webster's in the open field. He's got the ball. He's got the ball in one hand. He's got the Dion chin strap with one unbuckled.
Yes, what a stud.
He's got he's telling Jack Hunt to hit somebody in front of him. And you can see Corey Webster's kind of like high step. You can see what type of athlete he is when he gets in the open. And then I think 2 plays later, Skylar Green on the end around.
And then what's the famous quote with the Marcus Spears?
Marcus
when he's
Spears.
like, I didn't know that they could drop like that.
Yeah,
he's
said,
like,
who
was that?
He said, he says like, how the fuck did the linebacker get there?
Coach, the defensive
He goes,
end.
Coach, that's the defensive end. It's like,
We're fucked.
say what?
We're getting there though. I feel like LSU was on that track.
Yeah,
We'll
and those are the fun days, man.
Exactly.
Those are the days that you think back during, Saban building this thing. That was still to me, the funnest LSU game road experience I've ever had in my life was the 2001 SEC championship game, where they beat Tennessee, and if Tennessee wins, they go to the Rose Bowl for the Natty. I mean, I saw Clay Travis say that Tennessee's loss to South Carolina was the next worst loss in Tennessee football history, or the last 30 years, and the other one was LSU in 01 to go to the Natty. I mean, that was a huge swing.
I mean, it just happened
of power.
Just happened to LSU. I mean, A&M did the same thing. They cut your legs out from underneath you. Yeah. Speaking of South Carolina, their coach Beamer
ball, baby.
Beamer
ball.
They better.
Yeah, they better pay him up.
Yeah,
they better pay him because he could be sneakily in some jobs. There's been like reports out of Auburn, like there's names that nobody's talking about. The first person I thought of was Shane Beamer. I don't know if he's, but if you're paying attention, dude, he's got something going in South Carolina that looks scary. It's what we talk about all the time. It's a team that believes they could give a damn what anybody outside of those walls says about them. I kind of got that feel about LSU this season. I still do. One loss like that last week doesn't shake that off. You can really kind of galvanize that right back real quick this morning. Like get them in a room and be like, yo, fellas, fuck Saturday.
Yeah.
Remember the rest of the year? Let's get back to that mentality quick. And if we do, we can beat Georgia. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, like pop back right back up.
What do you want to be remembered for? That's what you tell those seniors.
Beamer, man. Beamer in South Carolina, they got it going on, dude. They got good feels to them. You know what I mean? They got good vibes.
Go to Auburn. It's the
I
same
don't know.
thing with Lane a little bit, where it's like y'all are killing my vibe. I don't need y'all up. Like let the kids be kids. I'm throwing the party.
Hunter Fournette, Beamer sucked all year outside of the last 2 weeks. Maybe so. I think that Kentucky win early in the season. I know Levis didn't play, but that was it sent a message. Maybe
to wrangle Spencer Rattler. He's made him look good the last 2 weeks, and Rattler's a POS.
I thought who I thought made a run at the Heisman on Saturday night was Caleb Williams. I think
he's winning it.
I think he's kind of be tough to keep out of the circle at this point.
Because it would have been hidden hook. Right?
He's good looking now, player.
Coach, he's doing whatever he wants.
He is like toying with people out there. He's huge
and fast.
You see his paint? You see his fingernail polish?
Yeah.
Hendon Hookers?
No, Caleb Williams.
Oh no, I didn't see his fingernail polish.
Fuck Notre Dame.
What's
on his?
That's what his fingernails say.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Which is awesome.
That is.
He hit the Heisman pose on him Saturday night.
On the sidelines.
Yeah.
Sorry, ND.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Hit that like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Make sure and tune in to Mic'd Up coming up here this afternoon. We've also got Chopping It Up with Kador coming up this morning at 10 a.m. All of that a part of the FM Digital Network. Make sure you are subscribed. Hit the like button, share button, comment button. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Compliments of Go Chevrolet.